In the world of global logistics, there is one narrow passage that holds the fate of modern civilization in its hands.
The Strait of Hormuz, a 21-mile wide waterway through which 20% of the world's oil supply flows every single day.
21 million barrels. If this tap is turned off, the global economy doesn't just slow down, it breaks. Geopolitical tensions here are constant. It is a powder keg waiting for a spark. But what happens if that spark finally ignites?
The blockade begins not with a bang, but with the silent deployment of sea mines. These are cheap, effective, and turn the narrow shipping lanes into a graveyard for tankers. Next come the land-based anti-ship cruise missiles, hidden within the jagged coastline.
Any vessel attempting to pass becomes a target.
Insurance companies immediately revoke coverage. Shipping stops cold.
Within 48 hours, the most important oil artery in the world is severed. Oil prices don't just rise, they skyrocket, from $80 to $200 a barrel in a week.
At the pump, the effect is immediate. For the average citizen, the cost of living just doubled. In Europe, the loss of Middle Eastern energy leads to rolling blackouts and heating crises.
The domino effect moves to the global supply chain. Without fuel, the ships that carry our world stop moving.
Supermarkets empty as trucking costs become prohibitive. The just-in-time delivery system collapses.
Factories in Asia and Europe shut down. Unemployment spikes as the global engine seizes up. The stock market faces a meltdown worse than 2008. Trillions in wealth vanish in days.
The world cannot wait. The United States and its allies mobilize for Operation Fortune Guard. The Fifth Fleet moves into position. The mission: clear the mines and neutralize the threat.
Air superiority is established first. Radar sites and missile batteries are targeted.
But clearing thousands of mines is a slow, dangerous process. Each day of delay costs the world billions.
Asymmetric warfare begins. Swarms of fast attack boats engage the coalition fleet.
Even a high-tech navy can be wounded. The conflict escalates into a full-scale regional war.
Diplomacy works overtime, but in the heat of battle, words are often ignored.
The longer the blockade lasts, the more permanent the damage becomes.
The era of cheap energy and global stability would effectively end.
Eventually, the guns fall silent. But the cost of this victory is a global depression.
The Strait of Hormuz is more than a waterway.
A blockade would change our world forever, forcing a painful transition to a future without oil.
Stay vigilant. This has been a Stickfight XX tactical documentary.
To understand the blockade, you must first understand the terrain. The shipping lanes are only 2 miles wide.
For a captain, this is a nightmare. There is no room to maneuver.
Oman sits on the southern edge. They watch as the tension builds day by day.
Iran's strategy is simple: saturation. Too many targets for any defense system to stop.
The first volley would be devastating. Hundreds of missiles launched simultaneously.
China, the world's largest oil importer, feels the pinch immediately. Their industrial heart slows down.
In India, agriculture suffers.
Without diesel, the food chain begins to snap.
Civil unrest breaks out in major cities as energy prices make basic heating a luxury.
Crude oil becomes more valuable than gold. Currencies based on trade start to plummet. Even the digital world is affected. Data centers require massive power, often tied to global energy grids. Other oil producers might see a temporary windfall, but the global collapse eventually reaches them too.
South Korea's massive export economy grinds to a halt. The world's electronics supply dries up.
Emergency reserves are released, but it is only a drop in the bucket. The Strategic Petroleum Reserve cannot last forever. The global network of trade, built over decades, unravels in weeks. Food security becomes the primary concern for every nation. Exports are banned. Protection sim rises. New alliances form out of necessity. The regional map is redrawn in real time. It's not just oil. Subsea internet cables pass through here too. A conflict could sever global communication. Transport reverts to a pre-industrial speed. The world shrinks.
The push for renewables becomes a race for survival rather than an environmental choice.
The military solution is the only one left. But clearing the strait is like trying to clear a minefield while being shot at.
The defenders have the home field advantage. They use the geography to hide their moves.
The battle for the strait is a war of attrition. Neither side can afford to lose, but neither can win quickly.
Precision strikes attempt to take out the launchers. It is a high-stakes game of cat and mouse. The environmental impact is catastrophic. Millions of gallons of crude leak from damaged tankers.
The ecosystem of the Gulf will take decades to recover.
Alternative routes are explored.
The Northern Sea Route becomes a strategic priority.
North American oil production goes into overdrive. But it's not enough to fill the void.
Germany's manufacturing giants are forced to shutter factories. The heart of European industry stops beating. For the average family, the blockade is not about ships or missiles. It is about whether they can afford to eat.
Governments fall as the economic pain becomes unbearable. The political map begins to fracture.
Innovation is the only way out. Hydrogen, nuclear fusion, and advanced battery tech see decades of progress in months.
Finally, the pressure of total global collapse forces a ceasefire. The blockade is lifted.
The first ship passes through a graveyard. The world begins to breathe again, but the scars are permanent.
Prices stabilize, but at a much higher new normal. The era of cheap oil is dead.
The global recovery is slow and painful. Some nations never truly recover.
The blockade was the catalyst. The world realized that its dependence on a single narrow strait was a fatal flaw.
Pipelines across the desert and new energy grids now bypass the narrows. Diversification becomes the new security.
Future generations look back at the Hormuz crisis as the moment the old world died and the new one began. Stability is maintained not by force, but by mutual interest in survival.
The weapons of the blockade are relegated to history, but the lesson remains. In a connected world, a blockage anywhere is a blockage everywhere. The world is fragile. Protect the connections. Subscribe to Stickfight XX for more geopolitical simulations.
End of transmission.